Hey everyone, Heather Hartwick Gladden, Certified Zentangle Teacher, here with another Zentangle Quickie. Today we're going to do well. There is a new tangle out called What the Well, and it's I've been seeing a lot. I had a request to do this on a Zentangle Quickie, and as I was playing with it, I found myself needing to have the foundation of the original Tangle well from Zentangle headquarters kind of in my fingers. So I thought, well, before I do What the Well, we'll just do well. Okay, so well, we're going to get started. So this is I'm going to put, when I get the What the Well done, I will put it in the description so that way you can easily link to it. But if you're having trouble with that, it's kind of it's like, well, you know what? Let me go back to a foundational exercise, and then it'll make the other one a little bit easier. That's where I'm going with this. All right, so we're going to start off with, and I'm using a bijou tile with my PN pen, and we're going to draw a grid. And I'm just going to do, a 4 square, so that way it's easy to see. So this one starts with a drawn out grid, and then in the center of each square, we're going to draw an orb. And then this one is similar to Huggins or even Cadent. There's a number of these where we circle around our orb to kind of give a warm up and then a release into the stroke. So this one, let's see. Okay, so I'm just going to start here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to swing around the orb and aim for this corner. But what we want to have is we want to have a curve, and it's we want to have the warm-up because otherwise it just doesn't look right. And it just doesn't look right if you're just going, oh, I'm going to draw a curved line from here to here. It just helps a little bit to have this little bit of a warm-up and then a curve. And and so we're going to do this to each corner. Oops, and I put a little mark there, but that's okay. So same idea, warm-up and a curve. I was hesitating because I was thinking, I have done this where I've gone from the corner down to the orb, and you could do that. Well, I'll do that right now. But still looping it around. And it just makes a difference. Try it both ways. It does make a difference. All right. So the trick with well is, so we've gone curving out to from the orb, going to kind of like a right-handed spiral, or I guess that would be clockwise spiral. The next box, the adjacent boxes, we're going to go the opposite direction. And if you're like me, sometimes this really hurts the brain to do this, but practice makes it better. So and you might have to think about it for a minute, as I do, but same idea. We're kind of going around the orb. I'm going to change my hand position around the orb and then a curved line. And feel free to do that. If your hand, is comfortable doing it this way, because what I was going to do, I was going to go up this way, and that's not comfortable. When I'm drawing curved lines, it's kind of like this. So then what I need to do is move the tile, so that way, okay, I'm going to go around. Oh, and there's the curve right there. And so that will help. Also, in a recent Tangle Quickie, we did paradox. And this is a similar kind of fan shape. So one thing that helps me, and it helps me with paradox, is I know that what I want to complete this shape. And so sometimes that helps, so that way I can, looking at that and knowing I'm going to mirror that helps guide my hand a little bit. Okay, so as I said, adjacent boxes are going to be the opposite direction. So clockwise, counterclockwise. So then that makes, if I go down here, we're going to do the same direction as this one. Now, you could, I say this with some hesitation because I think I've tried it, and it's one of those where I try to not also get lost in some of these. But what I was going to say is that you could, when you have your whole grid laid out, you could do the one direction and do all of them. So you would essentially be making a checkerboard going the one direction, and then just fill in going the opposite direction. And that is entirely up to you. All right, now this one. And then too, so a lot of times I will start, so seeing this fan shape, I will, start in that corner and to finish that shape, because it just, for me, it helps me to get started. And then sometimes, like, wait, what corner am I going to? There we go. And I like to share all of that, so that way if your brain is saying the same thing as I'm saying out loud, then you know you're not alone. All right, so this makes for a really cool shape as it is. And there's a little variation that I'll add a little second part on here with that. So know this, you can stop here and have a really super cool pattern. And in the step outs, I do show this. But to finish well as it was intended to be done, once we have this part completed, then we're going to draw just some curved lines. And let me look here which direction we're going. Okay, so if I'm looking at it, right, okay. So in each curved line, we're essentially going to make seeds. And we've done seeds in other ones. Seeds are a curved line on the top and then a curved line on the bottom. And so what we're going to do, and I'm going to do it this way because, again, just to have this consistency in how I do a curve. So here's this curved line going one direction, and then we're going to draw a curved line going the other direction. And we're kind of tracing over a little bit right here where, where the orb is. And for all four, same thing. And like I said, if it helps for you, this is what I'm going to do just to show. If it helps for you to just go in the same direction all the time, or at least, kind of get that one direction out of the way and then do the other direction, then you can do that. So now this side, it's going to be the other direction. And for this one, I mean, you can start at the corner and come in. It's just one of those where you just want to make sure, I'm kind of aiming for right, should I point with my finger or the pen? Right here is the corner that I'm going to. So right there, so like I said, tracing kind of over that orb. And then, same thing here. And there we have it. And it just creates this really, really neat shape. Now, shading, of course, you can do this a multitude of ways. You can also, I've seen where, you can, if you wanted to add in a little dot in the middle. There's so many options. You can do things with the background. This is what I think I'm going to do. I'm just going to put, well, no, I think I'm going to shade the actual seeds because I think that that's kind of fun. So a little bit of graphite at both tips. And Oops, I totally missed this. I totally missed the inside of this one. Now, this is something also, because as I'm just kind of doing these little lines, you could do that with the pen and just, do some, just little straight lines there. I got a little bit too much graphite on that one, because with these, well, let's see how much I have left on here. Oh, look at how nice that is. Anytime you're doing this where you're doing it at both ends, you want to leave some of the natural tile color, or your natural paper color. And I say it that way because you could be using, well, you know what, let me do those two last. See what kind of graphite I have left. There we go. I say natural tile color because you could be using a toned color. You could be using any color. And what we're looking for in the shading is the contrast. And so, well, now, okay, so take that back as well. If you wanted to color in, shade it in with the graphite, the entire, this entire, I'm going to call it petal because it looks like a petal. Of course you can. That is entirely up to you. But I wanted to create kind of this shiny look. And so, with the graphite, that's what I've done. Now, you could also leave it's neat because they look like little flowers. You could leave them alone and you could shade in on the background. You can also do some other decorative things. And you know what? I'm going to do that really quick because it's also going to tie in to the second version. But let me just share this. So you could... I'm just going to draw some straight lines following this main line here. You could do little orbs. You could do whatever you want, or just leave it blank. Just leave it plain if you want. Color it in a different color, or the decision is up to you. But I just want to share this. So it's kind of neat when you have your grid line. You can make your grid line essentially disappear by drawing in some straight lines and just making, using that as your base and then coming out and working to be even on either side. It's never going to, well, I don't say never, but it's not going to be perfect, and don't worry about that. It's just neat to add these lines as a neat background. It adds texture too. There's a lot of, doing straight lines, adding the little orbs adds texture. And that's kind of neat. And this part here's a perfect example. See how this is a little bit wider than this, and see how it's still okay. So for those of us that worry about those things and are wanting everything to be perfect, don't worry about it. Because as you will see, in the end, it doesn't matter. Now, normally, I said I'm using a PN pen. Normally, it just depends. I like using, well, actually, that's kind of neat as it is, but I'm going to go ahead and fill in these others because I feel the need to. And actually, these I'm going to kind of use a little bit of hollowbow. So I'm doing my line. You don't really have to do that because there's so much separation. I'm just going to not. Takes too much brain power. All right. Sometimes I would do that just, to kind of have some continuity. There's also a couple thought processes that I have in doing these lines. Number one, and I'm kind of doing them more deliberate, but you could, and then maybe on this little second little add-on thing that I'm going to do with the another variation of this where we stop at that one point I mentioned. So like these, I'm not pressing particularly hard, but they're more deliberate. But you could kind of just let, almost like tickle the paper with your pen. And that creates almost, a slight wave. I'm almost doing that here, but it can create a little bit of unevenness, which is really, really neat to see. So there's that. Oh, and it does need to have something in the middle of these. So just a dot. All right, so this is plus, the extra decoration, but this as well as it has been, as the step out shows. And I'm going to show you next the one cool variation coming from do this, where we stop before we do the petals. Okay, so as I mentioned, there's the place where after we've done all of these spirals, and I will show you all of these spirals out, and everything is alternated, right? So there's another way you can decorate it. So you can finish the step out and take it to this point, or stop here, and then so there's a couple ways. I think in my step out, I just did straight lines like this, but there's another way that's actually kind of cooler, and I will show you here, and then I'm going to adjust my step out at some point. But the link is there with what I have currently, and I know that it's just the lines. But similar to what we did here, where we make the grid disappear by filling in the straight lines, we can do something similar. So one of these before you decide which way you want to go. If you happen to have a place that you're not too happy with, that's one that you could start. And this is one because it's like this one's a little bit crooked here. So, but what I'm going to do is I am going to kind of retrace. But I want to move this line to be a little bit straighter. So I'm coming from the top. I just curved it a little bit, and I'm going down the center. And then from the other side, but I'm just not going too much to the other side because I wanted to straighten that out. And this is what I call course correction. So when you don't like something that happened, this is one of the ways, because then we're going to color that in. I'm just coloring that first one in just to show you. So then we're going to kind of continue with some straight lines coming down to this point, but we're going to curve them a little bit. And what I like to do if I'm going to fill in a section is I'm going to subdivide. So I'm dividing it in half and aiming for the center here, and kind of sort of aura-ing this curve, but maybe not so much because it's spread out here. And then so I've subdivided once, and then we'll subdivide each of those sections, and just working on that curve like that. And then we're going to do the other side, which this again, this is one of those, because it's backwards, it hurts my brains a little bit, but that's okay. So subdivide again, or close, and like that. Now I have this center already colored in, and I'm just going to color in and alternate. And so if you get, if this part kind of gets a little bit, goes a little wonky, same thing as I did here, you can adjust, course correct, as you're coloring, as long as it's one of those where you're going to go thicker, because you can't go the other way. But we can straighten some things out with the filling in. And so then what you'll do, and that just looks really cool. Now we're going to do so then what we'll do is all of these fan shapes going in this direction and opposite, we'll do this pattern in. And it's one of those things where you could, if you want to color in that center one, you can. It doesn't matter. Oh, sometimes for me right now, it's just kind of helpful. And again, subdividing, coming back the other way. Just easier to find that halfway point. And then coloring in every other one just gives it a neat look. And then as you see, I have some partials here. So that just looks really neat. So then, you know, so we don't want to remember, we always want to, we don't want to forget our little partials here. So just, you know, picturing the halfway, same idea. Wow. And see, you know, so we'll see with, hopefully that's one that I get to color in there. All right, coming back down. Oh, it is. So see how that went a little bit weird? We can fix it right up. It's just if it was in the other place that we wouldn't be able to. Oh, sometimes when I get going too fast, this is what happens. So I did it again down there. And sometimes, you know, it could be the surface you're drawing on or something that, you know, creates a little bump. But like I said, it's all okay because when we're filling in, we can adjust and course correct. Okay. And you can see how that is going to fill in and just be really, really, really neat. And this gives a little bit more flair than just doing, you know, straight lines, but you certainly can. And too, I'm using my PN pen to fill in. If you have a, you know, a thicker nib. Well, although this one is hard because these are fine areas, you know, when it gets right down to it. So you might be a little cautious of using something too thick. And these PN pens are nice because you can use them for filling in, and because they are a little bit thicker, you can kind of, you know, use it on its side just a smidge, and that seems to help. All right. Get this last one done here. And you see how neat that looks. Either way. And then you could always color in. Oh, let's just try some shading. Just because it's just screaming to me to be shaded. And I don't know that I would do, you know, the same pattern on all, because then it's just, I mean, you could. That would make, you know, like an optical illusion type of thing. So that could be fun. I just want to try some shading. I think when I've done this before, I'm trying to remember what, oh, I know what we did. We used some highlights. We'll see how that works on here. Could have just added the sparkle in with, as I was doing it, but I didn't think about it till now. But we can add that. Oh, that looks kind of neat. You know, this is the fun thing about Zentangle, is playing. And this is why a lot of times people find it as a nice, like a creativity booster, or help people get out of that rut type of thing, you know, like writer's block, you know, the artist block, because, you know, if you could be open to it, you know, and just playing around with ideas, then it can just, I find that it helps me. See, and I decided to shade these empty ones. Of course, you know, you can always add color if you wish. When we add color and things, we call it Zentangle inspired art. And oh gosh, that looks really cool. Now let me add one other touch here, and I think, let's see, yes, is you can do. This is just a charcoal pencil. Oh, look at how neat that looks. Oddly, it looks even neater in the camera as I just was glancing up than, I mean, it does look neat in real life, but there's something really cool when you look in the camera and you're like, whoa, that all of a sudden, look at how that looks shiny. And it does. So this is just, again, white charcoal pencil, just going over, you know, where this would maybe shine. It's catching. But isn't that neat? 2 ways to do one tangle, and that tangle is called Well, and it came about from the folks at Zentangle. So enjoy this, and then do look back in the comments. If you're watching this just after I've posted it, I plan to do this tomorrow. If all goes well, ha ha ha, and I'm gonna attempt the the what, and have fun with it. But having this this foundation, besides it's a really super cool tangle, will be helpful in doing that tangle. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching. Hope that you liked it. Please leave comments in the comment section. Like, share, all of that. Subscribe. I have a good number of these Quickie videos being built up. And at the time of this recording, we're doing the 100-day project. And so that is my aim, to do a video for each of these 100 days. And produce a nice number of Quickie videos, so that way we can get have more fun with our tangling. All right, thanks so much. Happy tangling.